Hi, my name is Ankita Mathur. The paper I am presenting is Identifying Careless Responses in Survey Data by Mead and Craig. The purpose of the study is to examine methods of identifying careless responses when the data is collected via internet survey, particularly with student samples. Researchers' hypothesis is careless responding may be a concern in internet-based survey with student samples, and the lack of environmental control could lead to a decrease in data quality. Such data could lead to spurious within-group variability and low reliability. This is a randomized experimental design, and the independent variable is the survey conditions, which has three levels: anonymous, identified, and stern warning condition. And the dependent variable is the careless responses. Now let's see what is careless responding. Careless responding is a bias in survey responses that disregards the actual item content, constituting a threat to the factor structure, reliability, and validity of psychological measurements. There are multiple reasons that respondents may provide inaccurate responses to survey questions. The first one is content responsive faking. In this, responses are influenced by the content and they are not completely accurate. Content responsive faking can be divided into purposeful faking and social desirable responses. The next is content non-responsivity. When responding occurs without regard to item content, it is known as content non-responsivity. In this, participants respond randomly, and the authors of the paper call it inattentive or careless response. Why does it matter? There are several reasons to be concerned about inattentive or careless responding. Researchers need a clean data set, otherwise, they need to do data analytics to clean the data. They can use data screening methods like univariate outlier analysis, but it does not work if respondents choose a common option like middle option. Second reason is that they can have psychometric implications, but they are more relevant when the surveys are done for scale development purposes. Base rate. Very few studies have examined the prevalence of inattentive response. As you can see in the slide, the estimates vary from as low as 3.5% to as high as 50%. So it is important to choose the indices or indicators of careless responses. Factors affecting careless responding are respondent interest, survey length, social contact, and environmental distraction. Engagement of respondents is critical, especially when the survey participation is optional. So authors have focused on surveys with student samples as participants who have to take surveys for course credit, so they might not be fully interested. For long surveys, respondents will feel fatigued and their attention will wane off or wane over. Internet-based surveys lack the interaction between participants and researchers, and also they lack accountability as they are anonymous. Online surveys require only internet access and the environmental condition is uncontrolled. So people might be multitasking and their attention can be divided, which will result in inattentive responses. So internet-based survey studies using undergraduate students have issues with high quality of data. Now let's see methods of identifying careless responders. The method of identifying careless responders are of two types: special items or scales to be inserted in the survey prior to administration and to flag those who are not carefully reading the items. Special report measures of response quality are placed at the end of the survey. It requires special analysis after data collection is done. Several indices can be computed to detect careless responders. The first one is consistency indices. They measure the similarity of responses to similar questions for a particular participant. Second one is response pattern indices. Exclusive utilization of a single response option can be considered as careless response. The third one is outlier indices. A multivariate approach like Mahalanobis distance is much more appropriate to determine whether a sample is an outlier or not. The next is response time. Very fast responses can be assumed careless. Instruction sets. Anonymity gives freedom to be honest but results in less accountability. Researchers wanted to ask the following questions like, does manipulation of survey anonymity affect the prevalence of careless responding? What are the correlations among and factor structure of careless responses indices? Are there different types of careless respondents? And if so, what data pattern underlie these different types of careless respondents? What portion of the sample can be said to be responding carelessly? Are self-report measures of data quality sufficient for data screening? Can survey completion time be used as a measure of data quality? Of different types of careless response measures, which are most sensitive to careless responding? So they did study 1. In this, students had to spend 3 hours on an online study. 438 students responded among 24,000 undergraduate students. Out of them, 386 participants completed the survey. Survey items were spread across 12 web pages with page number and total number of pages. 50 items per page with a table form. Page 11 contained additional 21 items. Page 12 contained items asking about study experience. Items on page 1 to 11 used a 1 to 7 Likert type response scale. The participants were emailed a link to a website where a JavaScript randomly assigned them to one of the survey conditions, which are anonymous condition. In this, respondent remain anonymous. The next is identified condition. In this, respondents' responses will remain confidential. However, they were asked to enter their name at the bottom. The next is turn warning condition. In this condition, along with the name in the bottom, they also had to verify that they are responding carefully and honestly to all the questions. Authors of this paper took the following measures, like personality. Some have said that careless response is a low frequency event. Some have said it occurs late in long surveys. So authors of this paper created a long survey by taking questions from these surveys like IPIP Goldberg in 1999, social desirability. Participants are presented with items such that they would prefer to give responses which are virtuous, but it is unlikely that many of the items would be true for single individual. Bogus items. In this study, they had 10 bogus items with 1 on each of the 10 pages in random positions between 20th and 45th items. Self-reported study engagements. 17 items were written by the current authors to assess self-reported participants' engagement in the study. Self-reported single item indicators. They included a series of single item measures at the end of the survey to allow respondents to indicate how much effort and attention they should devote or they have devoted. Instructions said that students will receive credit no matter what, and they asked questions like how much effort you put, how much attention you put, should we use your data in the survey. This is the bogus item table, which shows the 10 bogus items they used. For example, item number 7, which says or which asks, I have never brushed my teeth. 322 participants strongly disagreed. In fact, one participant strongly agreed with it. Now let's see indices of careless responding. Response time. They recorded the time for each of the 12 pages. They computed Mahalanobis distance for outlier analysis. They included bogus items, each of which have the same response for each participant. Consistency indices can be formed by examining the difference between responses to items that are highly similar in content. Response pattern is used to identify whether a participant responded with the same answer. So they computed long string, average long string, and max long string values for this. Table 2 provides a summary of the indicators that were examined, like total minutes, sum of bogus items. Research question 1 concerned whether the instruction set could impact the quality of the data. The post-hoc test indicated significant differences between the anonymous and identified conditions for the number of bogus items and self-reported attention variables. There were no difference across conditions for any of the other data quality indicators. In table number 3, number of bogus items are more in anonymous condition than in identified condition. The next is research question 2. To find the correlation between various methods of assessing response quality, participants across 3 conditions are combined as a pool. As we can see in table number 4, there is a negative correlation between total minutes and sum of bogus items, indicating that participants who spend more time answering the questions will give less incorrect answers to bogus items. Research question 3 asks whether there were different types of careless respondents. This question was approached in 2 ways. First, by using latent profile analysis, and second, by utilizing the factor mixture modeling. As we can see in table number 6, by doing latent profile analysis, the participants are divided into 3 classes. Class 2 and 3 responded much quickly and have been classified as careless responders. They constitute 11% of the total participants. Factor mixture model. The researchers then used the factor mixture model to identify careless responding. They hypothesized that some respondents were providing careless responses and therefore expected the relationship between the latent factor and the observed responses to be very small for such responses. After investigating several models, they utilized a 2-class model solution which results in similar cases to those identified earlier in latent profile analysis. They give standardized results of the factor mixture model and found that factor loading for careless respondents in class 1 were much lower than class 2. This is the standardized result of factor mixture model. The next is research question 5. Table number 8 indicated that self-reported indices were of mixed utility in predicting the latent class membership. However, it provided a natural cutoff for whether to include the response among set of valid responses. Research question 6 asked whether response time can be used in a meaningful way. The individual differences in response time were large. However, authors believe that the clear outliers on the lower end of response time of distribution can be categorized as careless respondents. Study 2 answers the research question 7, which pertains to identify the most sensitive careless response index. In this study, they simulated the participants' data to check the efficacy of the indicators of careless responses. They tested this by firstly using uniformly random careless data and secondly by using normally distributed random careless data. They found that the nature of the data strongly influenced the efficacy of indicators of careless response. Uniform random distribution. Table 10 shows the analysis done for uniform distribution careless data. From this, they concluded that Mahalanobis distance measure performed the best. Table 11 shows the analysis done for normal random distribution of careless data. From this, they concluded that even odd consistency measure outperformed the others. They recommended using identified response with mild warning in instruction set. They also suggest using bogus items as well as using self-report measure for data screening purpose. For cases where more rigorous data cleaning is needed, they suggest using even odd consistency index, maximum long string index, Mahalanobis distance for data cleaning. In limitations, the participants' population in their sample survey may not generalize. Example, the responses may vary by the location of students in different university. Also, there can be other indices which can be computed to determine careless responders. The assumption that participants responded to self-report measure attentively might not always be true. So in conclusion, we can say the internet-based survey will be prevalent, but it is important to screen the responses before analyzing them. So my questions for the class are: do you think a sampling technique is used in this study? If yes, what sampling technique was used? Question 2. Is there any threat to internal validity? If yes, what is that? Question 3. What are the problems that can affect external validity? Explain.